It is back, baby. We are back with the Guest Pass giveaway. All right, we are back. Listen, friends, today we are officially releasing the Guest Pass giveaway for the next live event, September 14th and 15th here in New Jersey. So if you go into the show notes, you will have an opportunity to enter your name and information, and you will go into a drawing to potentially win a free 99 ticket for this live event. We do this because we know there's so many people that want the opportunity to come and potentially don't think it's right for them, don't see the value yet. And this is a way for them to put their hat in the ring and dip their toe in and see if it is right. And before you think this isn't for you, let me just talk a little about why I think this live event is so impactful. I remember my first year in practice, I got through the first 6 months, and at that 6-month mark, I thought I was doing it. I thought I was doing well. And one day I got to the office and I had like 6 or 7 people on the schedule. I was doing 30-minute appointments at the time, and I was feeling good. And I went in for my first appointment and I came back out. And at the time, my mom was my admin, and she said, your morning cleared up. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, people canceled. And I was like, okay, how many? She's like, 3. I was like, oh, okay. And at the time I was doing session by session. So every time somebody didn't come in, I just saw money going out the window. It's like, all right, no problem. I still have the afternoon. I have 4 patients in the afternoon. Everything's going to be fine. Well, as it turns out, I went in for my next patient. By the time I came out, the entire afternoon canceled as well. And the rest of that week wasn't looking so good, to the point that 2 of my evals canceled, and literally the rest of my week was done. And within about an hour and a half, I went from having a week where I knew I was going to make a few $1,000s to losing money. And I remember at that moment, my mom just sort of looked at me, and I just looked at her, turned around. I went in the treatment room. I closed the door. I shut the lights, and I laid on the treatment table. And I just stared up at the ceiling for about 30 minutes, to the point where she didn't even know if I was okay. She knocked on the door and asked me what I was doing. And I was just so overwhelmed. But even more than overwhelmed, I felt helpless. I felt like my business was crumbling. I thought I had it. And that day it was like, okay, I got to go back. I don't have anything here that I thought I did. And that feeling of being helpless is something that I want all of you to never have in your business. Now, it doesn't mean things are going to go well all the time. It doesn't mean you're not going to have hardships. It doesn't mean that things aren't going to be a problem, because they are. Absolutely, they are. But the opposite of feeling helpless is feeling empowered. And empowerment to me doesn't mean things won't go wrong. It means that if and when they do go wrong, you have a way to go about taking action to fix them. The problem that I had at that moment was I didn't have the skill. I didn't have the organization. I didn't have the systems in place to be able to combat that feeling of helplessness. And it's the worst feeling in the world. And if you're listening to this and you're in business right now and it's not going well, or you feel stuck, it's not that you're stuck, it's that you feel helpless because you just don't know what to do. The people that are listening to this podcast, I know you guys. You want to do the work. You want to work hard, but at times you just don't know what to do. And that's when you feel stuck. And that's when you get disenfranchised. And that's when you feel like you don't know if you should do this anymore. And I don't want that for you. So the idea of this live event is that I want every single person that attends to leave feeling empowered. Feeling empowered. Not that we've solved every problem, because we can't, we won't, that's silly. But that you have a plan in place, that you know if you need to go generate revenue, if you need to go get a patient, if you need to go and make payroll that Friday, that you know exactly what to do to get there. So I can't encourage you enough, if you haven't signed up, if you're on the fence, to put your name in the hat. You'll have an opportunity to win a free guest pass to our live event September 14th and 15th here in New Jersey. So go into the show notes, click the link, fill out your information, and someone on our team will get in touch with you, and you will be able to see if you win. Today's podcast is a preview of the live event with our guest speaker, Vince Gabriel. If you are out there anywhere in the US, Canada, Australia, and you have good relationships with gym owners, or even more importantly, want to build relationships with gym owners, Vince is the guy to speak to. How come? Not only has he built a 7-figure gym himself, small group, semi-private, personal training gym, but now he does what I do for fitness businesses. He coaches gym owners. He has 130, 140 mastermind members and has coached for significantly longer than I have. So he knows the mindset of the gym owner. And one of the topics we are going to speak about at the live event is we are going to speak directly to him about his customers in his mastermind. And I want him to tell all of you the cheat code. How can you develop relationships that turn into referral relationships in your business? How would it feel to you if you had 2, 3, 4 solid relationships that every single month referred you your perfect client that were ready to pay, happy to pay, saw the value in what you do? How would that feel in your business? How would that feel? Would that make you feel empowered? I think it would. And so you're going to hear from Vince in a matter of seconds, but I can't encourage you enough. A high level guy, just to let you know the value and the level. Vince, and this is no joke, Vince is $1,000 an hour consultant. If you want to do one-on-ones with Vince, he is $1,000 an hour. And so he is going to be speaking at our event. So you have a chance to speak with somebody and get information from a guy that is that valuable in the marketplace. That's just a little bit of insight into the level of speaker that he is. So I can't encourage you enough. Go into the show notes. Please fill out the application. See if you can win. And if you do, we'll see you there. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Business School for the Rehab Chiropractor. Class is officially in session. My name is Justin Rabinowitz, and I am a rehab chiropractor on a mission to teach you, a fellow rehab chiropractor, the exact tools and systems I've used to build my own successful rehab chiropractic practice so you can do the same. I hope you enjoy, and please subscribe. Vince, I think this literally is the $1 million question that every rehab chiro wants to know. And based on your background as a gym owner and a business coach of gym owners, there's literally no one, I believe, in the world better qualified to answer this. So for my audience listening, that's rehab chiropractors. Every single one of them wants to develop referral relationships with you. Take us on your side of the fence, so to speak. What should they do? How should they think about it in order to develop these relationships in their community so that the gym owner is more than happy to refer their injured or potentially injured clients to us?
I think they should think about it the same way that you've been teaching them about marketing, and that is understanding the person, right? And so let me fill you in on the person, that being me. And it is different. So I think it's, a lot of times we can get lumped into the same categories as, fitness professionals or exercise professionals or health professionals. But it is different. So I, played college football and decided to take on a career as a personal trainer. I got my certification and then I worked as a trainer for 5 years. The most money I ever made was $37,000 a year. There was no barrier to entry for me to get that certification or anything like that. And everything I learned, I was kind of self-taught. And there was nothing that I had to do to start a business. Like you guys, I talk to you all the time, you guys have to go through chiropractic school and do all these things. Like if you find $50,000 in your couch, you can all of a sudden become a gym owner and start a gym, right? And so without like knocking myself down, the barrier to entry to start a gym is really, really small. And so our level of business knowledge typically is low. And that's why I have a job as coaching other business owners, right? So I think the first answer to the question is you got to get deep inside the mind of who this person is that opened up a gym. Here's the second thing. In order to be of value, to gyms, and before you start kind of getting yourself into the situation where you're trying to court the gym to try to get in, it's a much better opportunity for you to work on yourself first. And I know we're going to get into the mindset question next, but this is what, so I remember I got this relationship advice, and it talked about when you're trying to find a spouse. And it said, all right, what should you do, when you're looking for a spouse? Well, you should write down all the qualities of the person that you're looking for. And really what you should do is when you're writing down the qualities of all that person that you're looking for, what you really need to do instead of looking for that person, what you really need to do is decide what do you need to do to attract the person like that. And so let me give you a quick story. When I was just started my gym, I went to the top orthopedic surgeon, who was a local guy. He used to be the doc for the Detroit Lions. And this guy was a very, very well-known guy. And he was someone that I kind of wanted to connect with because I felt like if I connected with him, that would open up a lot of doors for me. And that is exactly what I think your guys need to do, is become that known person, to become that local celebrity, to become that person where the gym owner wants to work with them. So that's like the biggest thing. Before we get into you even understanding the gym owner, the biggest thing I can do is like, who do you need to become to have every gym owner in your area wanting to be associated with you?
So assuming we can't become the doc for the Lions, how would we do that?
So you've done it brilliantly yourself. I did it myself as well, locally. A lot of it is through making yourself famous. And it's pretty simple at the end of the day. A lot of it is through speaking. And so if all of a sudden they see a chiropractor that is doing a workshop and they're putting the workshop online, and they see Justin Rabinowitz is presenting on this, and there's a picture of you, and there's a good title of it, and there's pictures of you, showing that and showing yourself doing that. That's a really powerful thing that I think a lot of people don't do. So the first thing is start to develop the skill of public speaking. The second thing is, is consistent content. And I think it's about showing up on a very, very regular basis, whether that's through social media, whether that's through blogs, whether that's through that. But they're seeing this person over and over and over again in their community. And what will happen is a lot of times that can turn into a very vast library of resources for you, and you end up with a book. And so I think those are the two best things that someone could do a really good job of creating authority, where a gym owner is going to be like, oh man, that chiropractor kind of knows what he's doing. So regular speaking, book writing, created from content. And I don't think people need to like write a book from scratch. Honestly, like if they write a blog post twice a week for 52 weeks, you have a book. Right. And so like, honestly, like someone listening to this probably has a book right now. They're probably sitting on a book. My first book was called The Ultimate Success Mindset. And for 3 years in a row, I wrote an article called Mindset Monday. And it was all about personal development and stuff. And 3 years later, I opened up this huge file of stuff. I sent the file to an editor. I said, turn this into a book. And my first book was written. So I think that a lot of times people think, but those are two really authority building things that they can do. I'll give you one more. It's the kind of word of mouth through customer success. And not only how well your customers are talking about the doctor, but how well the doctor is displaying those customer testimonials. I'm always shocked at how poorly people do this. I was, looking for, we're in the process of looking for homes for my mom, and I'm going in and I want to find out not what they want to say. I want to know, what are these people are these people happy at this place? And I asked the woman, I was like, hey, can you give me a book of customer testimonials? And she had nothing. And I was like, oh, she's like, I think we have a few Google reviews, you can go there. But like, imagine the book opened up on the table with the picture of the family and the paragraph and this changed my life. Like that, it goes a really long way. So I think the power of social proof is also a really, really important thing for the docs to be doing. And I look at there's gobs and gobs of unused capacity in not only the content they're creating, meaning taking that content and putting it into a book, but they're sitting on customer testimonials that they haven't asked for, that they have but they don't use. So there's infinite amounts of unused capacity that they have.
I want to stay there. When we had an office here at Gabriel Fitness,
Yeah.
the one thing you told me, which looking back, I did not do a good job on, and I think it's because I never asked this question. You would always say to me, you need to coach my staff on how to refer. So, and this is something I want to dive deeper into at the event in September, but what the heck does that mean? And what, if I would have asked you that question 2 or 3 years ago, what would you have told me?
So let's, and I didn't think you did a bad job. I think you did a great job. But I could have been better, right? But, so we're specifically speaking then for a doc that's inside of a gym, but it could be also just a relationship.
Same, right?
Yes. So yeah, I taught you that process of teaching the docs how to refer. A lot of times those relationships, whether that's in the same building, and I've had these similar relationships in my gym for many, many years. We have another one in there now. So for close to a dozen years, I've had someone. But I've also worked with people on the outside as well. So I think that the first thing is sitting down with the doctor. And here's the thing, and this works both ways. Usually I'm on the other side of this. Yeah. Like usually I'm teaching the gym. So it's like almost like a little weird.
This is why it's so valuable. Yeah. Because the first thing that you said was we gotta get inside the mind of the gym owner. And the fact that we're listening to you speak about it as being on the other side is actually what we need to hear.
Right. And so usually I'm teaching, from my perspective, I'm teaching a gym owner how to talk to the doctor. Okay. But it's vice versa, right? Because there could be a stupid gym owner in their area that doesn't understand and know business, that doesn't know how to refer. So honestly, it works the same way. It just really could work both ways. So what I tell my guys, what you should tell your guys and want me to tell them is you sit down with a doc and before I even get into that, the first thing is send them patients.
Yeah.
Like just send them. Like that's honestly the best thing to do in the very beginning.
Refer them your clients.
Right. Is the gym owner be like, oh wow, this doc sent me 3-4 people. This is really, really cool. All right. That's honestly the most valuable thing you can do before you even go in and teach them. Because if you haven't done anything for them and you just start saying, all right, I want you to, here's the email and here's what you do. It's going to work a lot better if you literally just almost be like, in the beginning, I don't need anything in return. I just going to send you patients because I want a great place to send my patients to get fit and healthy and strong. That's the best thing the doc could do. So it's kind of got to start there. And then after the relationship is built and after some of the trust is built, sitting down with the gym owner, I keep saying doc, sitting down with the gym owner and be like, hey, I'm sure you guys have clients here that may need help. When they do, what I'd like to do is go over with you how to refer. And I like 2 really important pieces. The first piece is a very direct email introduction. That the worst thing to do is send them to a website, right? You don't say to the gym owner, like, hey, just have them Google me or have them go to my website. What you do is say, hey, when you have a person that you want to introduce to me, what I want you to do is send me an email, my personal email, not the staff. Not, and that's very important, right? Because think of the value of a customer. I know you're teaching about lifetime value, right? So if it's, what are the average patient value? 2,000, 3,000, right? So 3,000. So this is now a $3,000 exchange that you're handling. That's something you'll take, right? That's an email that you'll take a couple of these a week, all day long. So you have them email you directly to your personal email. Make sure you say that this is my personal email. This doesn't go to my staff. This goes directly to me. You tell them to CC the client on the email. Okay. So basically this is gym owner. Be like, hey, I want to introduce you to Dr. Justin. this is so weird, like doing this all backwards. So we're going from the doctor saying to the, hey, so-and-so, I want you to meet John Smith. He owns a gym. I've been to the gym. I've sent patients before. I trust these guys. They're really good. I think you'll be in good hands with them, and CC the gym owner on it. Yeah. You guys take it from here. Yeah. So that email exchange, here's the thing. That ball is probably not going to get dropped. I can count on maybe one hand in 2 decades of doing this, that email introduction gets kind of botched. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's the first thing. The second thing is what's called proximity. So I have a funny story. That same doctor that I was telling you about before, he called me one day and he's like, I need you to train me. I was like, oh shit, like I got to train a doc. Like, I'd never trained an orthopedic surgeon before. Right. And so I'm training him one-on-one fitness. And before I even get into this, so I start doing this thing called a Thomas test. And I'm putting his leg up and I'm pushing his leg down. And all of a sudden I hear, and I look at him and I'm just like, my eyes, like I thought I ripped his quad off the bone. And I'm like, what was that? And he goes, I don't know. And I was like, he's like, but it feels better. And I was like, oh my God. Like I thought, dude, I was crazy. I was like, but anyway, so I was training him 3 days a week. When I was training him 3 days a week, I got more referrals from that doctor than I ever got from anyone else in the history of my company. Mm-hmm. Proximity. He was seeing me all the time. And so, hey, probably a good idea for you to become a customer at the gym, right? And pay full board, like get in there, pay for the rate, get your wife a membership, right? Rather, if it's a really good place that you want to get into. I can't think of anything, because when all of a sudden you, the doctor, are in that gym's top of mind, man, that is going to increase the amount of referrals you get. That's why it was so valuable having you in the gym, because you were always around and always there. So people knew you. I know you were doing that, right? You were taking sessions, when you were here and things like that.
I think the other part of it that we teach our members is, people will seek out phonies. And if you're not willing to invest in something else and you don't see value in it, why would you as a gym owner see value on the other end? And I think it's like the line that I use in my mastermind is always like, just be the person that takes the advice that you would give. And so if you ask your clients to be healthy and invest in themselves, and they're going to invest in your product, why would you not be the same way there? So I can tell you, I've joined gyms, and our mutual friend, James Pratt, who's across the street from our office. When I joined there, this includes Junior. For a long time, when I had the office in Gabriel Fitness, I would work out during lunch when I could fit it in. And what I realized very quickly, as you know, because I know you live in the gym, it's really freaking hard to work out where you work. And I would get distracted, and I would have this happen and that happen. And I went and I had met James, and I said to him, listen, I need to be here. My office is there, but I can't work out. That's not good for me. I said, I'm not here to get referral. I don't care. I said, this is for me. I need to be like a client. I want to pay. My wife's here. It was exactly that. And it was 100% true because of my experience of I can't work and play in the same place type of thing. But the point was, I was going there 100% for me to become a client, to become that person who I want my clients to be. So I think what you're saying is 100% accurate. I think the nice part as a rehab chiro is that this is our happy place at the gym. And so being able to be a part of these communities as a client with really no ulterior motives, of course, down the line, it's a beautiful thing to be able to develop business relationships, but oftentimes it doesn't need to be the primary thing. I've had people in my world, maybe I should get into golf. Do you even like golf? No. It's yeah, but it can be good business. If you're not going to, they're going to sniff it out real quick. You show up and have no interest in doing it. Yeah. So I think that's a really important point to understand and recognize. And I think we'll dive even deeper into that at the event, because as I said, the ability for you to communicate it, you have 130 people in a mastermind. You've dealt with 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 gym owners. Every single one of them, you've dealt with is in the same position, where I'm sure they've got people every day coming, PT, chiro, acupuncturists, that want their business and want that relationship. So you know that, again, I think more than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Before we started recording, you said, one of the things with my content that gets out is the thing I really like teaching the most, which is the mindset stuff.
Yeah.
And what you've encouraged me in this business is to always make sure that becomes a cornerstone of the teaching, because if we don't start there, the marketing, the sales, the rest of it doesn't really matter. We always say we build our foundation. We teach marketing, sales, operations, and scaling the business, or finance and operations. The foundation of that sort of house that we build is on mindset. So we're kindred spirits in that, which brings me to the next question that I have for you. It's about mindset and it's about identity shift. So you started by talking about how you were a practitioner. You started, and I believe you've worked with, back in your training days, I think Hall of Fame level NFL. I mean, yes. You were a practitioner's practitioner. You were in it, just like we are doctors that we're in it. At some point, you had to go from being the guy doing the Thomas test and teaching bench press to being the guy that became a business owner and entrepreneur. And as you know, the thing is it's not a technical thing, it's an identity, it's a mindset. And so many of my clients as rehab chiros, as you said, they go to chiro school, they become the doctor, they treat the patient, and at some point they realize that they want to take the next step and become that leader, that entrepreneur. And the thing where they'll get stuck is not making the identity shift. So for yourself or for your clients that you coach that are gym owners, become entrepreneurs, where do you see most of them get stuck in that shift?
So the first piece of advice is this. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do and how to live their life. But what I think you should do is visit a chiropractor that's been cracking backs for 30 years and walk into his office and see what he's like. Now, there very well could be someone that's happy as a clam that's doing that. My guess is, and from what I've seen and what I've heard, is that tends to get old after a while. And so I think it's probably very instrumental and a very effective exercise to start talking to some people that maybe are further down the road from you, and visit someone maybe that has scaled the practice and has moved on, similar to what you have done, and someone that hasn't. And then you base what you want around that. If you can be a lifetime practitioner, then, and that's what you want, then great. You do have to understand what the challenges of that are. You have it a little easier than we do.
Why?
Because you're a doctor, right? The amount of money that you can charge is higher, right? People are paying a lot more money, relatively speaking, for, maybe you could argue a personal trainer in New York City is making it, but typically speaking, your fees are going to be higher, right? So a chiropractor that just cracks back and just does it can make a really, really good living. A personal trainer that just trains sessions all day, that's going to be, I think they get to burn out a little bit faster, and they get to burn out faster, and then the money's not even as high, right? So almost the double-edged sword for you guys is like, you can make a lot of money doing this. And you're like, oh, I'm doing really well. I'm making lots of money. I'm cracking backs and everything like that. But the challenge what you don't have is the fruit of being a business owner, right? And we both know that the fruit of that is freedom, right? I really value when you and I go on Wednesday mornings and we meet up, and neither of us are in a rush. We go on, we run hills, we talk business, and very rarely is one of you, all right, I gotta go, I gotta get home. Like, we're just hanging out and we don't have a time that we're just like relaxing. And it's a really good feeling and a really cool thing. And that's something that we've been able to earn over time. And I think that that's the fruit of doing that. And the thing that did it for me was reading the book, The E-Myth, early in my career. And I'm sure when you guys have heard it, it's the whole thing but it talks about, working in your business versus on your business. And it really did a good job of telling the story of what happens when you work in your business over the long haul. And so I read that book early in my career, and I have to thank a guy named Mike Boyle who told me about that book. And I read that early, and after reading that, I realized I needed to understand business. I needed to understand how to run a business and how to grow a business more than I needed to continue to get more. And you said, I was cereal box certification, man. Like I have more certifications that I have forgotten most of the certifications that I actually have. So I was going kind of down that road, and I read this book and I was just like, no, I want more than this. So I think understanding that if you're going to create something beyond you working and, doing adjustments so it's not, I know you're rehab chiro, so it's not just cracking backs, right? It's just working with patients, right? I think that there is skills that need to be learned. I think what stands in the way is only that. I believe what stands in the way is only that. It's skill development. It's most gym owners, most rehab chiros. Who taught them how to market a gym? Like, did they teach you that in chiropractic school? They certainly didn't teach me that in my NASM certification. And really, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's just like, how do you acquire the new skills that need to be had to grow a business beyond you doing it? And I think there's two really important ones.
I think the thing I want to wrap on, and I was going to save it for the live event, but I think it ties into the value of the freedom of being a business owner, but then also the next thing that I want to speak about at the live event, I know resonates with a lot of our clients, is the personal side of it. And I've seen you lecture on this before. I think I was here when it happened, when your dad got sick, and the freedom that you had of choice to be able to go and take care of that. Because the story you told about being in the gym or being in the clinic isn't that you want or didn't want to train a client or treat patients, it's that you didn't have an option. And so can you just tell us a little bit about, like, in that situation, you had the ability to now, hey, I need to go take care of something else and my business can still run? Because the problem, as you said, you drive down the street, most chiros that are solo, if that happened, business either closes or they have to choose. And for us, I think it's that choice that you've had. So if you could share just a little bit about that, just zooming out on what that really means.
So growth and control work inversely. And it's really hard to grow a company and business and maintain total control over everything. And I think that's really a big piece of it. It's being able to have that ability to let go, to trust other people, to have other people do the adjustments, right? And I think we talked about that as, like, usually they stay a practitioner for a really long time because no one else can do it as good as them. And so I think with that comes not just the ability to let go and trust other people, but also the skills to learn how to lead and manage people, to make someone hire a good chiropractor and turn them into a great chiropractor, right? So it's like, great that you're a good one yourself, but can you take another person and can you transform them into being able to? And I don't think you also need to find people that do it as good as you, right? Maybe you will, but maybe you won't. And if they do it, I always thought if they do it 80% as good as you, it's probably good enough. So I think that's the big piece of it. It's like being able to kind of not have your finger on the pulse of everything and know that as your business grows, like when I was away with my dad, I didn't know, like, everything that was going on. And what I had to do was run my business from dashboard, run my business from data, and being able to make decisions based on data. And that's a skill set that's really hard to learn. And a lot of times, like going back to the marketing side, it's the financials. And you and I both use Mike Waldron, from Carmel Valley, and he's been instrumental in teaching me that. But it really, at the end of the day, comes back to these skills. Like, it's being able to let go and have less control is a mindset skill. Yeah. Being able to look at your numbers and being able to make decisions and navigate people from afar is a skill set. So really, that's all it is. And skill and talent are very different. Like, talent is what a lot of times you're born with, but skills are developed over time. And so really, it's just identifying what stage your business is at what skills at that point need to be developed, and then immerse yourself. I know you're doing a phenomenal job of teaching rehab chiropractors marketing. I can't think of a better skill for and you guys have it a little tougher than we do because we have recurring revenue. We get a client, we can keep the client for 10 years. You guys get them better. It's almost like the better you guys are, the less money you make because of it, right? And again, but that means you need to get better at branding yourself. You need to get better at getting yourself out there. You need to get better at learning the marketing messages that your patients, want to hear. So, but at the end of the day, it's really just everything's for the taking. I am not nearly as smart as most of the gym owners I coach. I just have done a better job of developing more skills and more business skills.
Yeah, and I think that and going back to the decision and the identity shift to make along the way to become that person, and where so many people we find get stuck is we deal with chiropractors. You have to be pretty smart to graduate. Within our group, we have 120. They're the 1% of that group of chiros. But when they get stuck, it's because usually they haven't made the identity shift or they haven't made the commitment to grow. And kind of, in what you were just saying, the thing prior to the situation with your dad, the steps before that, you made the decision to become a business owner and a real business owner and an entrepreneur and to learn the skills, which allowed you to then manage by a dashboard because you had 5, 6, 7 trainers that were doing it. Where a lot of our members end up getting stuck and have to make that leap is they've built a successful solo business, but they've got to take the next leap in order to put themselves in that position. Yeah. And so I think for someone like you who's been able to do it and now coaches people on doing that, it's invaluable because it's a different perspective on it, which I think for our group is super valuable because you're in a parallel universe. You're not exactly like us, but you're about as close as it can get, and you've seen it. So I think that just to put a bow on this, when you speak September 14th, I have a list of things. I can give you some things like Angel List that we use is created by Vince. The rule of 27s, which we talked about walking the other day. I mean, there's about 7 or 8 of that we are going to go into. The thing that I think our audience has resonated with in the past is the ability to communicate the business side and then bring it into the personal side, the family side. And that's something that I've observed in you. And I have a story about Joey at the live event. I was like, oh, this is real, that you do at an amazing level. And I think our audience is going to resonate that. So for everyone here that's listening to this podcast, if you liked what Vince talked about and you are resonating with his information, you need to be there September 14th and 15th here in New Jersey. And Vince is going to just deliver unbelievable. And this is just a small portion of it. So Vince, we're looking forward to having you and can't wait to see all of you guys. And Vince, looking forward to see you on the 14th. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
Last thing before you go, please go into the show notes, fill out the application, and have a chance to win. We will see you there.